when we had originally talked to the first doctor about feeding tube, we had decided that we would just wait until it came to that point to decide. We didn't think we wanted to do it because, again, we knew her life was going to be short, and we didn't want to have every intervention. I think, though, for me, that was a really hard thing to imagine. Like, what does that mean to not do it? And so we did have a palliative care doctor and our pediatrician come out to our house. I think it was after she had her port put in. Mm-hmm. And talk through all of that stuff again and kind of get to know us. And he was the one that I think that explained to, in a way, and I can't remember the word to use, that not doing a feeding tube isn't the same thing as letting your child starve to death. And that there's ways, if she got to the point where she was so weak that she couldn't eat, and at that point we didn't want to do a feeding tube, that there'd be ways to keep her very comfortable and happy. I think I couldn't imagine not doing it, because all I could picture was that equaled extreme suffering. And I think talking to him, he gave us at least the idea that we still could decide what we wanted, but it didn't have to equal extreme suffering. But in the end, even though Emerson couldn't, she could only eat pureed foods, and she did have a little bit of trouble swallowing sometimes, she was able to eat on her own throughout her life. And when we talked to her doctor in Boston about her not gaining weight, and we just kind of revisited it a little bit, he asked us about what we were feeding her, and he was saying, even with a feeding tube, I don't know that you could get more calories into her, because it was just, her body was not able to, it just was burning through. And so I think that also made us feel, I don't know, better about it. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
But she loved to eat. She loved her mashed up bananas. And Steve would tell him about the breakfast that you would make.
Oh. So we were trying to get a lot of calories into her. And so we were researching, all these fats and proteins and things that had a ton of calories. And so, being the way I am, it was kind of like a game for me. Like, how many calories could I, not forcing into her, but get her to eat readily, And so these breakfasts I made, they had coconut oil was a big one. And so, because coconut doesn't have a big taste, and it doesn't make things taste super oily. And so you get a lot of coconut oil into oatmeal or into mashed up bananas. And so, or eggs. She liked eggs if I pureed them. So I'd come up to Sarah in the morning and be like, guess how many calories I got into her this morning? This morning she had like a 500 calorie breakfast.
Or no, sometimes it'd be like 700 calories. And because it'd be like, I put a teaspoon of this, and she loved
And I would measure it, so I knew exactly how many calories were in there.
and Steve would tell me how many calories, and then I would feed her lunch, and maybe I'd be like, I'm just going to give her a break and just give her some bananas and whatever else. And then I'd be like, oh, that wasn't very many calories. And so we were able to keep her, getting enough nutrients and calories without a feeding tube. So I don't know what our choice would have been if that had changed before she died.
Yeah, I don't know that, because we didn't have to make the choice. It
never quite got
there.
there.
We have ideas what we would do, but with everything, you never know what you're going to do until you do it.